I'm still working on the cover for the Lace Triptych book, so I thought I would come in and do a little stitching. I'm now doing some fern stitches, and it's a lovely little stitch for going around curves and just adding, a different texture. And it's a simple stitch. If you can do a straight stitch, you can do the fern stitch. And you can make them uniform if you're one of those people that can do uniform stitching. That would not be me, but you certainly can. As you can see, mine are all different lengths, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, Mother Nature might be a little more precise than I am, but that happens. I'm not gonna stress about it because it's just a lovely little relaxing stitch. And you can make curves really easily. So you're just going to take your center stitch, you come up, and then you're going to go back one stitch, however long you want that space to be. And then you're just going to come off to each side. That's all it is. I mean, easy peasy, right? Easy peasy. And of course, you can come back in later and add French knots or beads or anything like that appeals to you. I've been continuing to work on the inside pages, doing a lot of French knots now, and anxious to get to the point where I can add the beads. I don't think I'm going to put any beads on the cover. I think the cover is just going to be stitch, and I may not do much more than my feather stitch, twig stitch, and some French knots, because I want you to feel the texture. But then the biggest bit of texture is going to be when you open the book and see on the inside. At least that's the way it is in my head right now. Things often take a left turn, and we got to be okay with that. We absolutely have to be okay with that. Probably wouldn't recommend doing threads quite as long as I've done here, but I didn't want to have to stop and rethread it while I was stitching. And stuff that's going to go wonky, it's going to go wonky. If you got to think about it as something like that, okay, ferns, where do ferns live? Ferns are in the forest, and in the forest you have all the critters walking by, and they're going to brush against the branches, and they're going to step on the ferns, and things are going to get squished and turned sideways. And that's just what I tell myself. Whatever you have to tell yourself to be okay with it. But honestly, I admire precision embroidery or precision stitching. That's something else I've been thinking about lately. We have all these different names for it: slow stitching, embroidery, abstract embroidery, crazy quilt, which actually, okay, that actually goes with quilting and adding the seams. But to me, it's just stitch. It's needle and thread. Needle down, pull your thread, needle up. Some people prefer to call it slow stitching, and maybe there's a specific explanation for it, or definition. That's the word I'm looking for. Maybe there's a specific definition for it. I'm not going to be married to a definition of something. To me, it's just enjoying fabric, fibers, needle, and thread, and marrying them all together. Although today I was sorting out some stuff for some future projects, kind of like trying to lay a lot of things out so that then I can pick different ones to play with. And I actually went back to paper because I realized some things that I had not done in paper that I wanted to do and kind of share in case I inspire somebody else. So we will have some paper projects coming up. So I am filming this 2 days before Christmas. Hope everybody that celebrates is ready for the holidays. I'm also filming this when the huge storm bomb, cyclone bomb, whatever it's supposed to be, the big storm is supposed to be hitting so much of the United States. Here in California, we don't have that happening, although we're supposed to get some rain after Christmas. But I hope anybody that's out in that kind of weather is safe and warm and still has power. Our Christmas is kind of low-key. We just put all the gifts out that I have to wrap, so tonight I will be getting all the wrapping in order, and we will just be heading over to my in-laws. This is what happens when you have a long thread. It gets twisted. Okay, but it's still okay there. And I am stitching on, I think it was an old placemat, linen placemat that I just did some coffee dyeing on. Fern stitch is nice when you try and fit in between something, because you can kind of tuck it in between. You can get smaller down here and tuck it into places. So just a nice little filler stitch. This is kind of a variegated thread, and I really like when you're doing a long row of stitching like this, I like using a variegated thread. Okay, I like using a variegated thread a lot. I didn't used to. It's funny, when I first started back to stitching again, I'm like, I want to have true colors, and then I don't know what I did something, and the variegated threads just caught my eye, and now I just love them. I did clean up my big thread mess that I had, got everything resorted again because I was freaking out. I had misplaced the reds that I needed to finish my red and green piece. Well, it's not that close to being finished, but progressing on it. I'm bouncing around between like 3 different projects right now. A whole lot of beading I have to do. Whoops. I never would have figured a year ago that I would have said that I'm crazy about beads, but you know, when you find the right ones that are both fun to sew with and add the right accents that you want on a piece, they can be a lot of fun. I don't want to be real fiddly with the little tiny ones. My hands don't work that well anymore, so I'll just stick with the ones that I found work for me. And I don't know what it is about these TRIPTYCH things lately, but they are definitely on my brain. I guess maybe because 3 is an odd number, and I really like my odd numbers. So I got a TRIPTYCH wall hanging to finish. It was going to be a book, but I didn't like the way the cover came out, so it's going to be a wall hanging instead. So there we have it. There's the fern stitch. I'll be back as I progress on this piece.